Hi, thanks for joining us today here at the Movie Geeks Point of View. I am your host, Ryan the Movie Man Martin, and today I am joined by the jester of Monte Cristo, David Montgomery.
All right, guys.
So, you can't see him because we're using stills today, but he's looking quite chuffed with being the jester of Monte Cristo. So today you're joining us for the second episode of Killer and Filler. In the first episode we discussed Christmas movies, and today we are going to be discussing science fiction films, primarily focusing on movies that are about artificial intelligence. So we're just going to go through a handful of movies that we like, ones we're maybe a little less keen on, really what you should watch, what you shouldn't watch, what we think of these movies, and all that jazz. So, Monty, would you like to start? What do you think is... We'll start with a positive, shall we? Because we're movie fans. So, what do you think is a fantastic movie that is about AI?
One of my top favourite yins that I've got was The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I'm assuming you're talking about the first Matrix film.
Yeah, only the first one.
Good call.
I
Good call.
wasn't that big a fan of the other two, but the first one was good. I thought it was a brilliant story, and just like the agents were so cool, they could take over basically anyone that was connected to the Matrix and just appear anywhere they wanted to be.
Okay, yeah, 100% agree. The Matrix is fantastic. Uh, it was a completely groundbreaking film. The action sequences in it, like, changed the way action was done, possibly for the worse. But in the Matrix, it was fantastic. But in everything that followed the Matrix, that tried to do it, the same. They did
Yeah.
not do it as well, but the Matrix done it incredibly. Uh, so yeah, I'd 100% agree with you on the Matrix. For people who may not have seen the Matrix or know it, people who have been living in a cave since, well, it came out in 1999, so been living in a cave since 98. It is the story of machines have basically harnessed humans as batteries and have them living out in this dreamlike world that they call the Matrix. And Keanu Reeves' character, Neo, uh, is tracked down by Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and he's told that he is the one who will free humans from the machines and save the human race. And it's a pretty fucking badass movie. Um, it was directed by, at the time, they were called the Wachowski brothers. Now they are just called the Wachowskis, as one of them is no longer a brother. Uh, did you know that? The dude had a sex
No,
change. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, they were the Wachowski brothers, but one of them's had a sex change. So they're just the. I think he's changed his name to Lana Wachowski. Uh,
Fair enough. Do they both
which
still direct?
yeah, they still work together. They just done that. Is it Jupiter Ascending, the one with Keanu Reeves and Mila Kunis?
All right.
I never
Never
saw
seen
it. Reviews for it were pretty negative, um, but I never saw it. Did I say did I say Keanu Reeves or Channing Tatum? I meant to say Channing
it.
Tatum.
All
I,
right.
I
Right, you
may
said
have.
Keanu Reeves.
I say Keanu Reeves. Well, it was Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis. I was just thinking The Matrix. Keanu Reeves was in that. But yeah, and obviously The Matrix. Hugo Weaving plays Agent Smith, and he was fantastic in that role. In fact, he had some of the most quotable lines from that film. The only one Neo really had was "My name is Neo," and that's not that great a line when you use it out of context. In context it was shit hot, but it's not a line people are just walking about the street spouting. The Matrix also has to at least partly take credit for a lot of people wearing black trench coats and sunglasses, because I mean that's really what that film was. It was an advertisement for leather and sunglasses. But fantastic movie
So it was
anyway.
an advertisement for ghosts.
Not necessarily. You don't need to be a goth to wear a trench coat. Don't be dissing my
Most
trench
people
coat.
do though. Most people that are goths wear trench coats, man.
They just have a great sense of style,
So basically, the Matrix promotes goths.
Possibly, yeah. If that's all it promotes, then so be it. But I think it promotes goths, martial arts, and having a cool name with only 3 letters in it. That's an anagram of one. Neo. Well, okay, so The Matrix, we both agree. Great movie. Are you just now working out that Neo
Yeah.
is an anagram of one?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I didn't pick up. I didn't pick up on that. It's not something that I think about when I watch films. Oh, that's a clever name.
Yeah. He's,
No,
he's Neo because he is the one.
the one. Right,
Yeah.
I get it now.
So, I'm a little disappointed in you. I wasn't wrong when I called you a jester, was I? Right,
That's just sad as hell when you work out something like that. It's just sad.
it's not difficult to work out. You don't need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that shit out, you know? It's but anyway, so we'll move on. I will, as soon as you started with the Matrix, I'll go for another really obvious one about AI that is outstanding, and I'm going to say that is the first 2 Terminator films. Um, Obviously about artificial intelligence, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by James Cameron, also has Linda Hamilton, who actually is great in the first one, and then in the second one, she becomes one of the greatest female heroes of all time. Uh, Sarah Connor, she just is. She's a badass. Um, Obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays the Terminator, but he himself is not the AI. He's just a machine. The AI is Skynet, who you never actually see. It's just referred to. Uh, they bring Skynet into the later ones, but the movie sucked. So, let's just stick with the first 2. What do you think of the first 2 Terminator movies?
You're gonna hate me. I've never actually seen any of the Terminator films.
You have never seen any of the Terminator films. That is shocking. It's actually shocking. I mean, the first one is this outstanding science fiction horror, basically. It is quite simply a machine is sent back to present day from the
Oh, I know the
future.
gist of the
Yeah,
story.
to kill John Connor, but he goes after his mom before John's ever born, and the humans send back a human to try and protect him, and it's really scary. I mean, you've got this machine played by Arnold Schwarzenegger coming after them, and they just cannot stop him. And no matter what they do, he just keeps on coming. And it is properly like they play on the kind of fear aspect of it. Like, no matter what we do to this guy, we can't fucking stop him. Yeah, there's a scene in the first Terminator film where he is literally just going from door to door because he doesn't know which Sarah Connor he's after. So he's got the phone book and he's just looking them up. And, like, they knock on the door and he's just like, Sarah Connor. Right, yes, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots them, and then he just goes to the next one and just continues to do it. Saying it's genuinely brilliant movie. And then the second one, instead of sending a human back to protect them, they send a reprogrammed machine back, and they send an even more badass machine. The second one moved away from the horror thing and became a much more massive budget action movie, but it is one of the best action movies ever made. Best science fiction action movies ever made, in my opinion. And phenomenal movie about AI, and the fact that you have not seen any of the Terminator films is just awful. You're going to have to come round to mine, and we'll watch the first 2 before Terminator Genesis comes out, which is the 5th one, BTW.
Fair enough.
Because or get Claire to make you watch them. Just fucking watch them, okay? I don't care where you do it or when you do it. Just fucking do it. So,
I don't know if
right.
Claire owns them. Do you own Terminator?
I do somewhere.
Okay, so we'll move on. Another AI movie that you love. or at least have seen, for fuck's sake.
See, my second gen, I wasn't too sure whether it was an AI because it's kind of it was RoboCop.
It is not an AI. RoboCop is a real intelligence. He was a man. So no, RoboCop is not AI because he's a cyborg. He's not a machine. Well, he's part machine, but
Fair enough.
yeah.
Her.
That is AI, 100%.
Her. That was my next one after that. I quite enjoyed that. It was a bit. It was maybe like a rom-com between like a guy and a computer or computer software basically.
An
But
operating
it
system.
constantly learned more about the guy and operating system, an OS. That's what it was referred to in the film. And the more it learned about the guy, the more human it became. It developed more emotions. It developed more thoughts. It made friends that were other OSs, and then eventually at the end they all just bugger off, leaving all the humans
Wait, give some
behind at the end.
spoilers there, man. You at least throw in a spoiler alert when you're doing that shit.
Come on, it came out in 2013. You can't tell me that like loads of folk haven't seen it.
Loads of folk haven't seen it.
It's like
It
2 years
wasn't.
ago.
I know it was 2 years ago, but it wasn't that well done. I mean, I only saw that film recently, and I absolutely loved it. What I will say is you're wrong. It is not meant as a rom-com. I mean, it is meant as a romance.
That's what it gets described as.
No, it's meant as a romance, but it's not a comedy. It's certainly not a rom-com. There are 100% romance aspects in it. That doesn't make it a rom-com. It's a very serious film that just happens to have some really funny moments, and it brings on quite interesting things. Like, he was dating a machine, and she didn't have a body, and it was, is it okay? Is it normal? It's really, it brings up quite some interesting philosophical ways of thinking, and I mean, there's a scene in it where someone mentions that they're dating an OS, an operating system, and the person's completely freaked out by this, and he's worried that other people are going to react this way. It's when he mentions to his ex-wife, and then he sees his friend who's played, his office pal, who's played by Chris Pratt, and Chris Pratt spoke to his girlfriend, who's the operating system, because she does calls and things for him. But Chris Pratt doesn't know she's an operating system, and he's like, "Yeah, we should double date with my girlfriend and stuff." And it's the bit where he's like, "She's an operating system," and Chris Pratt's just like, "Okay, cool, yeah, we should go on a picnic," or he just doesn't give a shit. And I thought that was actually fantastic. Showed you that some people were very open-minded, and other people were just like, "Nah, you're a freak. What's going on?" But yeah, you never mentioned, so I'll say it's a film by Spike Jonze. The main part is played by Joaquin Phoenix, who obviously was in Walk Hard, things like that. Played Johnny Cash in that film.
I had no clue how to pronounce his name, so I'm so glad you did.
The operating system, I think her name's Samantha, is voiced by Scarlett Johansson. And Amy Adams is also in it as Joaquin Phoenix's next-door neighbor, who ends up with an OS as her best friend, if I remember right. So it's a fantastic film, fantastic cast, really good premise. It's strange them making a sci-fi where that's also a romance. It's a very interesting film, and if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Okay, we'll move on. I would say the next movie about artificial intelligence that I think is phenomenal actually just came out earlier this year, or the end of last year, depending where you stay, and it is called Ex Machina. Absolutely fantastic, really small-scale film. Stars Dom Hall Gleeson, the ginger guy. He was in The Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, played one of Ron Weasley's brothers. He was in that film where he time travels by climbing into a cupboard. That was actually a good film as well. I think it was
Oh,
called About Time. So yeah, he was
about
in the,
time, aye.
he was in that. It also stars Oscar Isaac and I'm probably mispronouncing this girl's name, but Alicia Vikander. It only has, I think, a couple of other people in the film, and they don't really have any lines or anything. It's about these three people, and it's Oscar Isaac plays this eccentric billionaire who owns a Google type company, and he invites one of his employees, who's a computer programmer, Domhnall Gleeson, to his flat, or I say flat, his mansion, but it's really weird. Most of it's underground and it's all electronically activated. This place would be fucking like perfect for a Bond villain. You could total picture Blofeld in this big fucking place, just stroking his pussycat. Uh, it really, really is. Like, that was the first thing I thought of when I saw it. I'm like, they need to use this location in a Bond film. But yeah, he invites the programmer to his house, and he explains to him that I have developed an artificial intelligence, uh, and I want you to basically interview her over the course of a week and tell me whether you think she is genuinely artificially intelligent or whether it's all just programming. And that's really all it's about. It's about these three characters in this house, and it's Domhnall Gleeson interviews Alicia Vikander, who's the female who plays the robot, try to work out whether she's intelligent or not. He then goes and has conversations with his boss, who is a drunk and just completely eccentric, and it is very interesting. The three of them are so good in it. Like, honestly, all three of them are outstanding in it. Uh, and there are a couple of scenes in it that are very funny. It is not a comedy at all, but there are a couple of scenes in it that you're just like, that's hilarious. One scene in particular that involves some disco dancing that actually had me in fits of laughter. It was incredible. Um, but yeah, I would strongly recommend everyone watch that, especially if you're a science fiction fan or a fan of AI movies in general. I assume you have not seen it from your reactions and whatnot,
No, I've not seen it. I wanted to go and see it, but no,
but
never went.
never managed. Well, you need to get it when it comes out because it is great. Are there any that you actually dislike?
The second and third Matrix.
Good call. Good call. Yeah, they're not good, are they?
No.
The way I think of the films is I think of them like the Star Wars prequels. As standalone films, they are just terrible. But as part of the whole thing, I mean, they're still not good, but it's not. It makes it slightly better, if you know what I mean. I think the first Matrix should have just been left, and they shouldn't have kept making films.
Yeah.
But it does continue the story. My real issue with it was Agent Smith flying and becoming everyone, and I just thought, no, no, they tried to add so many new things into it to make sure Neo still had a challenge that it got a bit too far. And by a bit, I mean it just.
What do you mean becomes everyone? When he basically takes over like loads of people and starts fighting Neo.
Yes.
Is that what you're on about? Aye.
Yeah. When Neo's fighting like thousands of Agent Smiths.
Yeah.
It was just too much. So yeah, both of the films are definitely on my not good list, shall we say. I'd also like to put in Terminator 3 and 4 on that list as well. The best thing about Terminator 3 was that it ended. And Terminator 4 was just bad as well. Slightly better than Terminator 3, but still not good whatsoever. I would not recommend anyone watches that film. any of the two films ever. They should watch Terminator 1 and 2, and then hopefully Terminator Genesis, which we will find out later this year. But so yeah, that's them. Any other AI movies you fancy mentioning?
Again, I don't know whether this is AI or not,
Okay.
but Tron. I mean, it's based on a computer, so I wasn't too sure
You
whether you
know,
could class it as AI.
I can't remember. I've not seen the new one, and I only saw the
I
original
hated the
once
old
when I
one.
was young.
Oh, I hated it. I thought it was so boring. Just like the effects and all that were pretty good for when it was made, but I still think that just the film itself was generally just rubbish and boring and had no dripping storyline or anything to it.
Well, I've only seen the original once, and I was very young. Um, so I don't really remember much about it at all, to be honest. Uh, and I've not seen the new one at all, so I don't really know the storyline, so I can't tell you if it's AI or not. But for argument's sake, we'll say it is, although we could be completely wrong. I'm sure people will let us know in the comments if we're just being utter dicks right now. But okay, so what did you think of the new Tron film then?
I didn't like that one either.
You didn't like that one either. Okay, fair enough. We'll move on then. One movie I feel, well, two movies I feel I need to mention because when discussing artificial intelligence movies, I feel these two movies need to be mentioned. The first is Blade Runner, filmed by Ridley Scott, based on the book The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, and it's a. You seem puzzled by the name of the book.
Book.
Yeah.
No, it just sounds like a funny name. I was just
What?
like, what?
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah.
Well, the book is fantastic. The movie starring Harrison Ford and Rutger Hauer. I never know how to pronounce his name. But it's a crime noir film where Harrison Ford plays a Blade Runner who is a police officer whose job it is to track down AI, like rogue AI. And it's just not that good. Um, I mean, most people would say it's a classic and it's fantastic, but I just think it is such an overrated movie. Again, it's a film I saw as a kid, and I really liked it when I was young. And then I watched it again like 2 years ago, and on rewatching it, I was like, it's just not that great. It's not a bad film by any means, but it certainly doesn't deserve all the talking up it gets. It only really gets it because it was one of the first films to kind of do what it did. But it is beautifully directed. It's well acted. It just everything's there that it should have came together and been great. But I just feel it wasn't. Another movie that I have to mention, it's another classic, is 2001: A Space Odyssey, with HAL 9000 as the artificial intelligence, directed by Stanley Kubrick. It's a classic, very old film, but it was great. I will just say the only problem with it is it the special effects and everything. It's so old that it does not hold up, and these days it just kind of looks silly. But if you can get past how daft it looks, then it is a very good film. But if you weren't able to get past the fact that it looks like Del Boy and Rodney Trotter have tried to make it themselves, then that's fair enough. It's so yeah. Have you seen either of they films?
I've not seen Blade Runner, but I'm pretty sure I've seen the Space Odyssey.
Yeah, but
It's ringing a bell.
so the machine's mostly a red light. It's like that's its eye slash. It's weird.
I think I've seen it, but ages ago.
Yeah, it looks like
It
someone.
can't have been that. I can't have enjoyed it that much if I can't remember much about it.
Yeah, well, like you say, it's very, very old school. And if you were unable to, get over it, then that's fair enough. Are there any other films at all you would like to mention that fall into our AI category?
There is, but a lot of people would probably disagree with the last one that I don't particularly like that much.
Okay.
Transformers.
Transformers is not AI.
Is it not?
No.
How?
Because the Transformers aren't robots, they're aliens from the planet Cybertron. They're real intelligence.
Alright, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's pretty much it then. I will quickly mention Chappie, now that I think about it. I have just seen Chappie in the cinema recently, a couple of days ago actually. I'm not going to tell you what I think of it. If you want to find out, go check out my other channel. I'll put up a review for it. It's at Movie Man Ryan, Chappie Movie Review. Find it. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. If you just want to know what I thought, go check that shit out, It's not that hard. I'll put a link. All you do is click that shit. It's, it's doable. So, okay, well, that's pretty much it from us. Monty's wishing right now he had some artificial intelligence, because it's better than no intelligence. So thanks for joining us here at the Movie Geeks Point of View. So he's been David Montgomery.
Cheers.
I've been the Movie Man, Ryan Martin. And that's all from us today. So click the subscribe button, click like, comment below, let us know what you think about any of the movies we've mentioned. Let us know what movies you think we should have mentioned. What's your favourite AI movie? What's your least favourite AI movie?
And until next time, that's a wrap.